What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about what Gotham Knights will do for its endgame content. Will it have it? What will it exactly be? Have that whole-on discussion. We've talked a little bit about DLC for this game. We've talked about maybe how this game will operate, but we haven't really talked about what happens when you beat the game. It's actually, for a game like this, one of, if not the most, if we've seen anything from like Avengers, one of the most important aspects of any game. So we're going to talk about that really quickly. I want to do that promotional thing. We're getting very, very close to 40,000 subscribers. I owe the success of the channel all to you guys. You guys have done such an incredible job of supporting me. If you're not already subscribed, please do. Again, getting very, very close. If you're not following me on Twitter, Podcast Now 15, we're getting close to a milestone there. My second channel, Podcast Now Plus, we're getting close to 2,000 people there. And then our Discord, we're getting close to 600. So if you guys haven't done any of that stuff, please do it. All of it's in the description. And obviously the subscribe button is just underneath this video. So, endgame content. Well, look, I don't want to compare this to Avengers. I know that was maybe an early on thing that some people did. Actually, I try to stay away from it as much as possible, saying it. I definitely think it's possible that it could be a little bit Avenger-like, but one of the things I don't want it to even come in the ballpark of Avengers is the endgame stuff. It's one of the things I hate the most about Avengers is that once you're done, you really are done. It's the same thing over and over again. The missions just rotate. You're doing the same thing over. There really is no well thought out endgame content to this game. And now Avengers and Gotham Knights are different, though. Because you have to say that. Gotham Knights is still going to be a pretty story-driven game. Just because there's skill trees, just because there's like different armor and suits that you can wear, it's still, you play through this game, you have your main story, you have your side quests, you probably have your side villains, all that kind of stuff. You reach the end to the story, and then that's it. And that's the difference, is it's still, in my opinion, until I'm proven wrong, until the game proves me wrong, which it totally could, is that this is a game that is focused on the story, focused on the experience. And, well, look, in terms of endgame stuff, we still don't have all the answers of what we're doing in the game, and that's important because you have Arkham City, you have Arkham Knight, I guess you have Arkham Origins you can look at too, but Arkham Knight is the one that, we, at least I, continuously kind of go back to, where it's like, well, what can they learn from Rocksteady, obviously being the most recent Batman game or Arkham game, what can they learn from it? Well, Riddler trophies, do they go a long way to making the endgame last? Because, so to me, I think when I played it, I really actually having trouble remembering it. I did platinum Arkham Knight, okay? So I got all platinuming it like on PlayStation, where I got the platinum trophy. So I got all the Riddler challenges. I think I ended up going back to maybe replay the game, and I did all of that. I think the first time when I played this game, I just went through it. I did side stuff. I did side villains. I didn't do all of the side villains all of the way, and I didn't get all of the Riddler challenges. So actually, I did not get like the actual ending of this game, okay? I actually watched it online because I thought I knew the ending. I was like, holy Jesus, what is this? How do you get it? Found out, you have to basically 100% the game, went back, did all of that, and then finished it. Okay, I think that was the order that I went into it. To be quite honest with you, in terms of a game like this, does it need to have endgame content? I may go off on a limb here and say no. Not every game needs to have more stuff to do once the game ends. Because it's tough, it is tough to say. Because like for Avengers, what my issue with Avengers is this: there is a difference between not doing endgame content at all and then doing endgame content bad. There is a difference there, because if you're going to do endgame content, then you make me want to get invested in that. You make me have an expectation, and so hopefully everybody knows what endgame content is. By the way, I think again I already kind of explained it. You play the game, you beat the game, but then you do most of the stuff, but then there is stuff that you can do maybe that unlocks specifically because you beat it, or maybe just kind of leftover stuff. That generally is endgame content. Now again, for the Arkham games, I would argue, and in fact I don't think you could argue against this, the endgame stuff is simply a carryover of the things you've already done. I guess technically you could say endgame content is things that only happen because you beat the game or because you did this or did that. That's why like Avengers, yeah, you do unlock certain things when you hit certain power levels, you hit things, you hit certain things when you beat the game. You know what I mean? So for that case, for Gotham Knights, I don't know if it needs to have that. I don't know if when the game ends, it needs to have, okay, this magnificent, like, oh, you beat the game, congrats, here's another 30,000 things to do at the end to it. You know what I mean? I don't actually feel like It needs something like that, unless it's the path that Warner Bros. Montreal wants to go down, in which case we can start criticizing or or praising it, hopefully, right? I know I tend to go maybe more negative early on than positive, but you know what I mean? So that's the difference there. Gotham Knights, to me, again, different kind of fighting, and that is something, though, because, well, look, there's leveling in this game. We know there's leveling, and that, to me, does kind of cry out or speak, not in like a negative way, but it does speak to like, okay, maybe there will be certain things that you could do after you beat the game. Maybe there'll be certain things you can do when you get certain levels. Now, hear me out. I know they said there won't be like level, gating, right? That if you're, say, like level 10, you're not going to go into a certain part of town and there'll be like level 30 and you'll say, oh my God, I cannot do that. Remember, this game is structured, which honestly I kind of like, where the enemies level up with you, but also they will kind of be on some sort of scale where some will actually be a little bit lower and some will maybe be a little bit higher. So yeah, you are fighting enemies. Maybe if you're level 10, you might fight at 8, you might fight at 10, you might fight at 12 all at the same time. I actually do kind of like that because you're fighting, and it kind of adds, in my opinion, even more towards like the realism, right? Because you're fighting maybe somebody who just sucks, you're fighting somebody who's maybe toe-to-toe with you, and then you're fighting somebody who maybe is their leader who's maybe a little bit more advanced, okay? But again, when you do leveling, you could have it where it's like, okay, well, we're not going to level gate you when you beat the game, but if you get to level 50, we do have a couple things for you that you couldn't otherwise do. Or if they decide, so that, I guess these are all if they decide to do it. If they decide they wanted to do more DLC, they could do specific villains, they could do specific missions in general that say you need to be like level 50 or whatever. I don't know how fast you're going to level up in this game. You need to be level 50 in order to do this level. I feel like that would be slightly different than level gating because it's not part of the main game, and that could be their argument. They're like, hey, we said the main game isn't level gated, but the end game content or the DLC we do, maybe that stuff is. Would that be the best case scenario? No, that would make a lot of people upset. That would probably make me upset, but they could go that route. It is kind of exciting to talk about, to be quite honest with you, because I could see a world where, again, they just flat out say, no, what's in the game, the side quest, because it is, again, what's interesting about this game is it is so similar, or you could make the argument that it's in line with other games where you could say, well, they could do this at the end, they could do that. At the other time, on the same, token, it is a game that's still unique and still their own, where they could say, we're following what kind of the Arkham games did, where, and again, how this game is structured. Well, it's different than Avengers. Avengers is really weird in terms of the story, in my opinion, not in terms of like the quality of the actual plot they're telling, but in how it's all structured and the helicarrier and picking all these missions. They don't really feel like you're actually going on an adventure like all, throughout the entire thing. Again, you can disagree if you want, totally cool, but in Gotham Knights, it's gonna, I think, feel a lot more succinct. It's gonna feel a lot more fluid because you're gonna be in a world, you're going to probably encounter these maybe a random crime. Maybe you're going to have to fight a random Talon, right? That maybe has like a group of people to like, not unlock, but maybe like get something new in like this different part of town. There could be Riddler stuff that you have to do. There's side quests, there's the villain stuff, and there's the main quest. So right there, you have a lot. I mean, it's an open world RPG, like The Witcher. And now I should say, it's not literally like The Witcher, but I would say in that way, it's more towards those kind of games than maybe Marvel's Avengers, where, yeah, the Endgame stuff could simply just be hey, you didn't, we had 12 villains. We had 12 side villains. You completed 8 of them. Well, I mean, we don't really have anything for you to do the Endgame stuff, but you could do the rest of those. There's still Talons to defeat. There's Riddler trophies you still have to get. There's your Endgame stuff. To be quite honest with you, I wouldn't get all that mad because finally, to end this off, the reason I wouldn't get all that mad is, again, if they go endgame content where there's raids or there's hives in like Avengers, right? There's like dungeons in this game, you know what I mean? Well, however they would want to word it, however they would want to do it their own way. that would kind of scare me in that it would push this game a little bit closer to other games I don't want it associated with. And so maybe they know that as well, and they say, hey, we don't really want to do that stuff. We know where we are. We know we're similar to some games, but we really do want to take what we've done in the past with the Arkham games, and we want to use that kind of as maybe even our baseline in these background events. Again, these crimes, these like keep those kind of aspects about the Arkham games and use them here. I think right now, I guess maybe that would be my bold prediction. That's how I feel like it would go. So right now, I'll say I don't think there'll be any, and if there is, very, very small amount of endgame content in Gotham Knights. So guys, let me know in the comments below, what do you think? Do you agree with me? Do you think maybe I'm wrong and there's gonna, what do you think will be at the end of Gotham Knights? Maybe a thing I didn't notice, or didn't say out loud, which we can talk about in a different video. Maybe you can play as Batman, which we will talk about maybe in the next video, because I just literally, that came into my mind right now. Let me know. As always, like I've said, make sure you guys are subscribed, have the bell icon turned on, help me reach those milestones and all the other stuff. Join our Discord, follow me on Twitter, and subscribe to my second channel. I know it's a lot, 4 things in all, but if you guys do all 4, I truly, truly appreciate it. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you all on the next video.